Hey, little mama, I got to tell you something. Are you a little ooey about what's going on in our culture right now when it comes to our schools and our systems? And okay, I got to start over. Hey, little mama, are you a little ooey about what's going on in our culture right now, especially with the schools and the education and the things they're teaching our kids? Now, if you're like me, you're wondering what to do. Well, today on Moms Like Us Do Things Like This, we have an answer. We have a very strong answer from Sam Sorbo, and she is a freedom education advocate, and you are going to love this. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Moms Like Us podcast, where moms just like you learn strategies, systems, and skills through expert interviews and real-life insight designed to take your marriage, mothering, and home to the expert level. Hi, I'm Mona Corwin, your mom mentor and host, author, international speaker, and the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. I've been coaching moms for over 25 years, and I have some really good news for you. Motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. You can crush it at motherhood instead of motherhood crushing you. So let's get to today's show. Hi, Sam. I'm so excited that you're here today to be with us and tell us all the stuff. I have known you for a long time, since back when we did the first, when we did the very first Moms for America thing. And I have been just in awe of your passion and your desire to bring Christian films to the screen with your husband, Kevin Sorbo. And like I said, ladies, this is a wise woman who has all the things that we need to know about what's going on in our schools and what we can do about it. Now, Sam is also an actor, and she is a producer and an author. So let's get to it, and we'll give all your details later. But Sam, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I think my most important role, of course, is mom. I'm a
Oh,
mom
yeah,
to
that's
three.
right.
And so my oldest is now 21, and then I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I feel like I discovered the special sauce. I feel like I discovered the secret recipe to a happy life, to a meaningful life, right? Because happiness is not getting the things that you want. Happiness is accomplishing good. I think I've never defined it that way, but I think that's really kind of what it's about. Are you making a meaningful impact in the world? And that's why I do what I do now, advocating for educational freedom. And I call it educational freedom because two reasons for that. One, I think we should have freedom to educate our children exactly the way we, as the parents, want to. But also, I want to educate children in freedom about freedom. And the freedom that we enjoy today in the United States is authored by Jesus Christ. There is no other author of freedom. It doesn't exist in evolution. Evolution is a slavery recipe because it relies on survival of the fittest. That's the basic tenet of the evolutionary scheme, is that the strong survive, the weaker die off, and basically the strong overcome the weaker because it's competition. It's ruled by competition, right? So you see where I'm going with this? So this is the theory that they teach children in our government schools. And it is now the broadly accepted theory to the point where we no longer believe the Bible. We read the Bible and we say we believe the Bible, but most people, if you ask them, well, do you believe in the story of creation or do you believe in evolution? They'll say, well, evolution, it's scientific. No, it's not. You just think it's scientific because that's what you were taught in school. And your teachers pounded into you, this is scientific. It's still called a theory for a reason, folks. And even Darwin, who we credit as being the author of evolution and the author of the book on which our entire scientific community bases their foundation. Even he said, without finding the missing link, none of my theory stands. So we
And then
still
didn't he
don't
call
have
himself,
proof.
didn't he, we call it Darwinism, and an ism, it means theory, like feminism, communism, Darwinism. It's a theory, it's
Sure,
not fact. But
sure.
yet we say it's fact. How do we get to that
Yeah,
place?
because the schools have trained us to believe that it's fact. And the schools have trained us to believe, full stop.
Mm.
The schools have trained us not to do our own research, but to trust the teacher, because the teacher is the fount of all knowledge, the spigot, right? And so you have to be nice to the teacher. You have to, sit quietly in class and wait your turn and wait for the teacher to feed you like a little baby bird, and then you'll just gobble up whatever tripe they're selling of the day. And that's frankly where we are in our culture today. We have a good half of the nation, maybe more, who bought into the vaccines even though there was no proof. They were in a test phase. I refused to be a guinea pig. A lot of people signed up to be guinea pigs, not even knowing that they were signing up to be guinea pigs.
Mm.
And now they've outlawed two of the vaccines in the United States. They outlawed them. They said, these are ineffective. We're done with that. And meanwhile, all of these people, just like sheep to the, slaughterhouse, just went along with it. Oh, I got my booster. I can't wait to get my booster. And I know many of them, and my heart goes out to them. But here's the thing: if you want your children to grow up in freedom, they must be raised in freedom, and you cannot get freedom from a socialist model. And unfortunately, our school system is a socialist model. It's a socialist model. We take money from everybody and we give it to the people who need it.
Well, isn't that
And
what
that's
Biden
determined by the
just said?
government.
Biden just said that the other day. Our kids belong to all of us. He did.
Yeah, he's
I'm
still
like,
pushing that, right?
yeah.
Even despite the backlash of the parents saying, wait a minute. But the problem is, we've got a good portion of the country who actually kind of believes that. Says, yeah, I think the government will do a better job raising my child than I will. And sadly, they might not be wrong. I mean, we don't know how to raise children anymore.
Mm.
Why? Because we weren't taught how to raise children by our own parents. They weren't taught by their parents. This is generational now, Mona. This is going on for a century plus.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Sam,
Generation after generation.
when did it start? Like, when did we start with this mess? With
Well,
the
we
decline
started,
of it?
well, so the struggle is there's a hammer is a tool,
Yeah.
but it can be used to bludgeon and kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The
Yeah.
hammer by itself is just a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was we should educate people on morality to make them better citizens,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a nation that is self-governed. It means that the power resides with the people to elect correct representatives who have good moral standing and aren't going to usurp the power for themselves and can be voted out of office with a knowledgeable public. So the idea behind education, there were good people in this fight who said, we don't know that everybody's going to be bringing their kids to church, but if we get them into the school, we can teach them to read and write, and we can teach them basic morality so that they will be good people. And then slowly they pushed the morality out of the system, and they said, no, it's not about morality. We're just going to teach them how to be, how to read and write. It's reading and writing. It's the 3 R's. Remember the 3 R's?
That aren't ours.
But the thing
It's
is,
like,
that's not education.
no.
So we still think that education is the 3 R's. Like if you know your math and you know how to read and you can, kind of how to write a little bit, that you're educated. You're not. That's not what education is. That's why the Bible says the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. That's the beginning of wisdom. Education is just, we're giving you some tools And basically, without morality, we're just making you more effective criminals.
But aren't we, isn't that all that there is in the schools now is their morality, what they
Well,
think
okay,
is moral?
so this is what's so fascinating. It was like this bait and switch. So they convinced us to take the Bible out of school.
Oh, yeah.
They said school is not about a moral instruction. You know, get your morality, your religion, get your religion out of the school, right? And so we thought, oh yeah, school shouldn't be religious. Well, I'm here to tell you, every school is a religious school.
Wow.
I got to say that again because
Yes.
people struggle with that. But every school is a religious school in the sense that is teaching your child a worldview.
Yeah.
And your religion is your worldview. That's what religion is. Just because we say religion is belief in God, that's not what religion is. Religion is a worldview. If you believe in God, you have a certain worldview. If you believe in something else, that's your worldview. And their worldview now has replaced our religion in the school. And now they're telling us it's not about academic. Hush with your reading, writing, arithmetic. None of that matters anymore. What matters is that they understand LGBT, trans, and woke ideology and critical race theory and just all of this other religious dogma that they're now teaching children. And we're sitting there with our heads spinning,
We are.
going, when did this happen? Well, I tell you, it happened all along the way. That's why I maintain the schools aren't broken. Don't try to fix them. They're doing exactly what
Exactly what
they
they want to do.
were designed to do. And we're the dupes who just sort of went along like the frog in the pot of boiling water. It just got hotter and hotter and hotter. And now it's boiling, and we're going, oh my gosh, this is scalding. This is actually injuring my child in a way that I had not foreseen. But I'm here to tell you, as the parent, you were injured by the system.
Yes.
You just don't.
This is the part that when I first heard you talk about it, I kept saying, "Oh man, I wish my kids were still in school." You the way you present this is accurate. So I want my moms to know that this is accurate what you're hearing, and I want you to just. It might feel a little edgy. You might feel a little uncomfortable. Do not tune out. I want you to get a hold of it and wrestle. You know, in the Moms Like Us world, we take things and we wrestle with them until we can understand them, and then we can decide. But this is
Well,
a
and here's the
wrestling
thing, I
moment.
have solutions.
Yes.
Like, don't lose heart. I've got solutions, and the solutions are better than you could ever dream. This is what's amazing.
Tell the girls about how this takes away their authority as parents. That's what got me. All of a
Oh,
sudden,
yeah.
because of the folder, that stupid folder they send home all the time. When you told me about that.
I get emotional about it because this is such a betrayal.
It is.
And these moms and dads are being betrayed on such a foundational level, and they don't see it happen, and then it comes back and it bites them in the throat. And they go, what did I do wrong? How could this have happened? I don't understand, right? So this is what happens when you drop your child off at school, kindergarten. By giving your child over to that lovely young teacher who seems wonderful, even though she's a complete stranger. Go figure that out, right? You
Who
give
knows
your
what
child
she
over,
was doing in college?
right? We have no idea.
No.
We trust the system. You hand your child over to this lovely young lady, and you tell that child, she has authority. I don't know enough to teach you. She knows better than I do. And so that then sets the tone for the rest of the school career of the child. The school knows better than the parent by the parent's own admission, because if you knew better, why would you send your child to school? So you don't know anything. I mean, this is what it sort of boils down to. You know nothing, the school knows everything. Now you can wrestle with that and you can say, well, I do still know some stuff. But in the long run, if there is a conflict between you and the school, what the school says, what the teacher says versus what you say. So the teacher says, little Jimmy became Genevieve overnight, and we all have to accept that. And now he's a she, and he's going to be wearing dresses, and you will accept that, and you will refer to him as a her. And you say, wait, I didn't sign up for that. Your child will reprimand you because you don't have the authority to say that. The teacher does, and you told the child the teacher has that authority. Does that make sense? So so it's like a bait and switch. They're saying, we're here to serve you, and then they're shoving you out of the way.
And the thing about the folder was that they send that little folder home and you have
Oh
to
yeah,
sign it.
yeah. So the child comes home with the permission slip. It's cute. They're going to go on a field trip. And it's a permission slip. Daddy has to sign it. Mommy has to sign it. Mommy, you have to sign this. The teacher says you have to sign this. Sign because the teacher said you have to sign it. If you don't sign it, I don't get to go. And so mommy said, oh, right. Yeah, give me the slip. I'll sign it. Do. You're under the authority of the teacher.
Or if you forget, then it's like, Mommy, you're going to be in trouble.
And so every time it's reinforced, you are lesser than the authority of the school.
This is not okay. This is not okay, Sam.
And there's nothing you can do about it unless you decide not to send your child to school. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. And, you know, I talk about these things. There are a lot of these, what I think are dangerous and abusive sort of implementations to systematize education. Okay. Which, by the way, we should never systematize something that is so individual, so uniquely individual, right?
Another good point. Really good point that you always make.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, they implemented Common Core, and I immediately said, yeah, because what parent doesn't want their child to be common? Like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? Like, but we are not called to question the system because we all came out of the system, and the system taught us, don't question the system. Don't you question the system. So for instance, the child has to sit in class. This child who you've known for 5 years, now all of a sudden you're completely inadequate to the education of the child. You taught him how to tie his shoe, how to eat with a knife and fork, how to get dressed in the morning, how to brush his teeth. You taught him all these things, and all of a sudden he reaches the age of 5, boom, you're out of the picture because you're inadequate and the school has to take over now. Thank you very much. And so he goes into the school and he's asked you all these questions. And you remember, he's super curious. He wants to know why, how come, what for, when, how many, why, right? And he goes to the school, and the first thing the school tells him is, you sit down, you shut up, you have to raise your hand to ask a question. That's a barrier to entry. It's a deterrent, and it stifles the curiosity of the child. I consider that child abuse. I think children are created curious for a reason. I think their curiosity is the initial pathway to God, to discover truth, beauty, and goodness, which actually is God. But the school says, shut up and sit down. Okay? So that's another, and we never question it. And when I say this to groups, typically somebody will come up to me maybe afterwards because they don't want to draw attention to themselves, because nobody wants to have to raise their hand. I mean, some of us are better adept at raising our hand, at learning the system and working the system, and others aren't. But people will come up to me and say, but Sam, the teacher can't control the class. Like that would just be chaos. What do you expect them to do? They have to make the kids raise their hands. And I say to them, yes, I understand that they feel the need to implement an abusive technique against the children because there are so many of them. But I don't suffer from that, right? I, as a parent of 3 children, never required my children to raise their hands to speak to me. Sometimes I had to teach them manners. That's different, right? And in fact, when I taught homeschool classes of 12, we didn't raise our hands. We waited politely until there was a break in the conversation, or we gently interrupted so that people knew that we were on deck waiting to speak, but we didn't raise our hands. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So all of these different techniques that they've implemented, line up in a single file, that's dehumanizing. Here's, the buddies that, like, all of that stuff that they implement in the school. I get it. The school has to abuse the children, but I don't,
Well,
as the
they
parent of the
created a
child.
problem, and then their solution, they
That's
have
it.
to have a solution, and then they're saying, "Oh, this is the solution for them in society."
Right.
So,
We're from the government. We're here to help. Right. They create this, and people say, well, what are you going to do with the kids? They have to go to school. No, they don't. Children are intrinsically curious.
yeah,
If you guide them and supervise and help them on their way, they will learn everything that they need to know
yeah,
because they're intrinsically curious. You think that because you became disinterested in learning in school, because school is abuse, nobody wants to be coerced into doing anything.
mm-mm.
You think that learning is hard. You were convinced that teaching is hard. You were convinced of all these things. They had you for 13 years, and man, they brainwashed you. I'm not, this isn't a critique. This is where we find ourselves today.
Yeah,
But I'm here to tell you that was all abusive to you as the parent when you were the student, and it doesn't apply to your child.
right.
Keep your child home. Keep them home for kindergarten. See how that goes. Keep them home for first grade. Just put it off. Just put it off year by year. Just put it off. Put it off for a semester. When I first started, I said to Kevin, because so Braden, my oldest, went through second grade at this lovely little, really well liked public school in our neighborhood. And the teachers were lovely and they just weren't getting the job done. For me, it was all about the academics because I succeeded academically in school, even though I found school very, very difficult on other levels. But I loved the academics. I loved being challenged. And so that was great. So I wanted my kids to get those academics because I, I identified education as being purely academic because that's what the system taught me. And so what I discovered, what I realized in the school is the school was really, this is going back 15 years, the school really wasn't that interested in academics.
Mm,
They were interested in behavior management
yeah,
because they've got 30 kids in a class. And so their primary concern is behavior management. So they were not educating him like I thought he should be. And I said to Kevin, I think I want to try homeschooling just for a semester. That's what I said. I just for a semester. I'm just going to try it for a semester, see what happens. And I'll tell you the shift that happened in the relationship my oldest had with his younger siblings
yeah.
was so convincing to me that I kept it up for another year. And then halfway through my second year, I felt so inadequate. I put my kids in this tiny little Christian school. After 6 weeks, I met with the teacher, lovely Christian girl, fully, full Christian. Her focus very clearly was behavior management. And I went, wait, her focus is behavior management. He's still not going to get, I thought he was going to get at least like the Christian part of his education because I wasn't raised as a Christian. So I thought that I was inadequate to teach Christianity, right? So I wasn't raised that way. What do I know, right? Trust the experts. That's what we learned in school. Go find an expert, trust them. Just find one, trust him. That's how we got Fauci. Find the expert, trust the expert.
Mm.
Um, and so I found a school, trusted the school. 6 weeks in, I had a meeting with the teacher. She took 5 minutes to tell me how well behaved my child was. And I was, again, like, that's not my focus. I want him to be challenged academically. In fact, I know how well behaved my middle child. He was like, he was the child who self-punished. I would find him, like, he would run to his room when he thought he did something wrong to punish himself. And so he would never have been misbehaved. And she spent 5 minutes telling me how well, and I'm like, I want to hear that he is insatiable. I want to hear that his hand never goes down because he has so many questions. And that's not what they were doing for him. They were in the business of stifling him because their focus is classroom management. That's the school. The school is there to stifle the learning of your child. It's anti-education, it's anti-child, and it's anti-God. And why do I say it's anti-God? Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, they don't teach God.
No,
They leave God
out
completely out of the picture. Therefore, God doesn't exist. That's the message of the schools. God
all
doesn't
day
exist
long,
because
all day
because they
long.
ignore it's a matter of, if you ignore it and your job is to educate, and we're taught trust the educators because they know everything, then clearly God doesn't matter. God is inconsequential. The Bible is a ridiculous book that nobody pays any attention to. This is what they're teaching just by osmosis to your kids, right? The lies of omission, if you will.
And then they're using standardized testing to say, "Oh, we're all doing great," because they made the test. And
Well,
in
those are
Texas,
the
they
lies
won't.
that are the lies.
Yeah, in Texas, they won't let anybody see those tests that the kids get, the STAR test or whatever they're calling it now.
Right. You're not allowed to see,
You're
you're
not
not
allowed
allowed to see
to.
what they're asking your child.
That was
How
back
dare
when
you
my
want
kids
to
were in
know?
school. I was livid. I'm like, and they said, "Oh, it's the Carnegie Foundation. We can trust them." I'm like, no. Well,
So I tutored a young woman who was in, I'm going to say 8th grade, and she was struggling with math. So I volunteered to tutor her. And I said, "Okay, I need to see your tests," because she said that she got, a 64 on her last test. I said, "Okay, I need to see the test." You can't see the test. How are you supposed to improve if you can't see the test? How am I supposed to, as a tutor, understand where her lacking is? You're telling me I have to start from scratch to figure out where she goes wrong on things?
yeah, they
It would
don't
be
want
so
you to
much
see the
easier if I could see
test.
the right.
But
But
in
why? That's highly
because in
suspicious.
Texas, someone has exposed it and they ask the kids questions. And the story problems are all about the things more indoctrination. They'll ask the
Yeah. Does
children
mommy have a
questions.
gun in the house?
Mommy had a gun in
You
the
know,
house, or is she? And
I
then there were
covered
4 bullets. Or, I mean, it wasn't that. But they're asking questions about their family life.
right. A few years ago, I covered a story that was on a test. It was a question on a test. It was called Ruby's hair clip.
Yes,
And
I
it was a
remember that.
story about a young child who goes into mom's bedroom and finds a hair clip on the ground. No, the mother goes into the bedroom and finds the hair clip on the ground. And she contemplates the hair clip, and it has blonde hair in it, but she has dark hair. And basically it's a story that the husband obviously brought some slut home and committed adultery. And so what was Ruby's mom's, or whatever, the mother, going to do about that? And so what they're doing is subtly exposing the child to an adultery story, because all marriages end in divorce. Like, I don't know what kind of conditioning they're trying to do. I just know that it's anti-Christian and it's
Hmm.
anti-child, anti-family.
Hmm.
Schools are anti-family. Like, and here's the thing. There might be some mild exceptions to this. I have talked to people who have described their school situation to me, and there are and I have had to allow the possibility that in that situation, that very small school that is very hands-on with the parents fully involved and small classes and this and that and the other thing, that cooperatively people can come together and get the job done. Lord knows I put my kids all through Classical Conversations, which is a co-op. We meet once a week and the parents are still in charge. And I will tell you that they are successful in many ways, and in some ways they struggle for success. And the reason is because we are so damaged as a culture today by our schools, that parents, even when somebody takes them by the hand, like Classical Conversations does to a certain degree, and it's reliant on the people who are involved in and they're all lay people. So even when somebody sort of takes the parent by the hand and says, this is what you need to do, this is how this should go, they still don't succeed. So it's not the co-op isn't the recipe for everybody, but the real recipe for everybody is read your Bibles, expose your children to the Bible, and then look for academics for your child.
Isn't that
But
Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy,
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah,
about
you
teach my
raise your
words.
kids up and along a road, and
Well, right. Teach my words to your children, teach them diligently when you walk by the by, when you lie down to sleep.
yeah,
Um, so the idea is, here's the great thing is this: the Bible is the greatest history textbook that we have. It is unrefuted. It is history, and it's fantastic storytelling. You can, and people say, well, I don't know how to teach the Bible to my kids. I was one of those people. I had no idea how to teach the Bible. I didn't know how to teach my kids Christianity. And after I pulled them out the second time, I found a Bible study, and we joined a Bible study that had a homeschool portion. So my kids were doing this, they were doing the same part of the Bible that I was doing, but they had the homeschool version, the kids version. It was kind of silly, but it was good because it got us started, and I figured it out. Like I slowly figured out, oh, so how do you teach the Bible? Let's see, you just read the Bible.
Read Bible.
It's
Be Bible.
seriously, it's not rocket science. We are all convinced because we went to school that we need the teacher to interpret the book to us. And I'll tell you this is why Christianity is waning in the United States. This is my latest sort of epiphany, my latest riff. The reason that we are failing as a church is because everybody who goes to church today went to school, and they learned, no, seriously, they learned
awesome.
that you don't have to read the book, that you can trust the expert, that's your pastor. But by the way, the pastor went to school too, so he learned that you don't have to read the book. So he's just trusting the guy who taught him the book, and nobody's opening their books. Okay?
Only in church, there's no test.
And there's no, right? And so you go to church once a week and you think that's enough Bible. Like, that's enough because you went to school for your education, and education had nothing to do with the Bible. And so, yeah, your Christianity, I remember when we were pitching a show in Hollywood, it was a good show too. And the gal said to us, I understand, like, you've got the Christian audience and like, that's your thing. But see, to me, and she said this, I couldn't believe it. She said, I'm Jewish and my faith is here. And it was like she put her faith on a shelf. And I'm like, how's that working out for you? That's not faith. That's tradition. That's heritage. You put your heritage on a shelf. You pull it out, you show people, these are my ancestors, and then you put it away again. It's like a photo album. Yeah. That's not faith.
No.
Your faith is something that you walk and you live every day. And if you walk and live it every day, it means that you're reading the Bible every day.
Yeah.
You can skip a day, okay? If you skip a day, you skip a day.
Yeah.
But here's what's wonderful. And this is, so I want to give moms like us hope, okay?
Yeah.
When
they're scared. They're scared.
When you embrace what I'm saying, when you adopt the tenets that I'm laying down for you, and it's hard because they are truth, and the truth is hard sometimes, okay? But when you embrace them and adopt them, the blessings are so extraordinary. They're so beyond anything that you ever dreamed. It's the opposite of what you think.
Let's get them excited about that.
Yeah, I was at an event 2 nights ago, and the people next to me have young kids, and they were like, yeah, we're thinking that we're going to have to homeschool, but we have no idea what to do. And I'm like, oh, just reach out to me. By the way, samsorbo.com. I'll get you set up. Like, I've got all the materials you need, right? And they're like, well, okay. And she said, I actually have a room in my house that like I could set up. And I said, yep, don't do that. Anything that you want to do that mimics the school, do the opposite. It is the opposite of what you think. I am not kidding with it. Like, it's funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's hilarious because they have so damaged us that we think we know, because they taught us that we do know, but we don't. It is the hardest, like, it's so hard to impart this to people. But once you adopt this, look, I started reading, I did the Bible study with my kids for several years. And then a project landed in my lap, and I was like, I can't go for 3 hours on a Thursday morning. I can't afford it. I need to be somewhere else, and we're not going to do that. And I said to the kids, we're going to stop the Bible study. Well, they were like, oh, thank goodness, Mom, because they are so woke over there. I don't think woke was a term back then, but they were like, they're so politically correct. It's just insane. They, so they had identified that they were not really church. They were not true church. They were churchy church, which is a facsimile, and it's not the real thing. Anyway, I said, listen, what we're going to do instead is we're going to meet every morning. We're going to read the Bible, 15 minutes every morning. We're just going to meet, read the Bible. We're good. That'll be our Bible study. And the kids joined me on that. And it was me and my kids.
Mm,
And it brought us together like nothing ever, like I didn't know was possible.
mm,
I didn't know family was possible to the extent that I have this family. And my children are so talented and so gifted, and they feed me. They feed into me. I ask them for advice because they're clever in ways that I'm not clever.
wow.
Because I allowed that space for them to educate themselves. And I messed up a lot, I will say. I wasn't perfect. I was not a perfect instructor, teacher. Uh, and you're not expected to be.
No.
You're expected to be mother and guide. So when you fulfill the role of mother and guide, it's enough. And what happens is if you make a mistake, the relationship that you have with your children is such that you go to your children and you say, I think I might have made a mistake, so I need to apologize. And I'm not sure how to fix it. So I hope we can work together to fix it because I didn't do that right. And
But
so,
isn't that learning too? That's learning.
it's freedom.
It's freedom. That's so awesome.
It's freedom because the Bible was given to us and Christ came to us to show us that forgiveness is the way. But here's the thing, you can't get forgiveness if you don't ask.
No, that's
So
for
we
sure.
all have to learn to ask for forgiveness, and we have to show our children that. So when you make a mistake, that's a fantastic opportunity to show your children what it looks like to make a mistake and what it looks like to make amends, because they will make mistakes and they will need to make amends.
Yeah.
And
Sam,
we're taught in school like it has to be perfect, like you've got
oh,
to
that's
score
true.
the A or you're worthless.
Oh, wow. For moms to do this, they can't be doing a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they can.
they can. Talked
Oh
about
yeah.
that.
Okay. I worked all through when I was homeschooling my kids. Initially, early on, I had a radio show. When I first
Hmm.
joined, so I was into it for 2 years, and then I joined a co-op, and I took on teaching one of their classes. So it was a full day of seventh graders, once a week. But even then, I did 3 hours of radio every morning before we started our school. Um, and then the rest of the day was basically research for the radio. So I worked. It wasn't 9 to 5, but it was a full-time job. The education of your children takes an hour or two out of your day. In terms of the academics, now, the being with your children takes longer. So going away from your children from 9 to 5 every day means you're going to give up going out for drinks with the girls, lunching with the ladies, doing some other stuff. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a social life. You're gonna sacrifice some of your social life because it's worth it. We only sacrifice things because they're worth it.
Yeah.
You or because we perceive value. So sacrifice, this is one of the things I teach on. We misunderstand sacrifice because in the school, sacrifice is always bad. But in Christianity, sacrifice is good.
Hmm.
For God so loved the world. He sacrificed his son for something better, for his love, to show his love, right? So sacrifice is always good if it's voluntary. But in the school, we learn that sacrifice is bad. Oh, I sacrificed so much. Well, good for you. I'm sure you got something better from it. And if you didn't, I don't know why you did the sacrifice. Do you see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, totally.
I knew a woman. I've met a couple people who worked full time and raised their kids, homeschooled their kids, and I can't go into all the details. There is a way to get it done. For instance, especially after COVID, a lot of people work from home. So
Hmm.
maybe you work 2 days in the office and you need a nanny. Okay, so you need a nanny for 2 days, right? That's possible. But the other three, you can work from home. You train your children are trainable. That's why they're harder to train in the school. The school has a tougher time training the children because they don't have even though the parents give them the authority, they there's a breakdown in the system, and the kids are grouped all together, and so the kids have this survival of the fittest kind of Lord of the Flies power that doesn't that doesn't survive that equation, or that overcomes that equation. There's an imbalance. But in the home, the parent has the authority. And if you don't allow your child to challenge your authority, then you won't have a child that challenges authority.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to discipline children because we went to school, and so we weren't properly disciplined at home.
So true.
We there's a loss, there's a generational loss. Every generation loses a little bit. And so now we don't know how to parent, we don't know how to discipline, we don't know how to have relationship.
Well, I think this
the
is
breakdown
what
of the family.
this is one of the ways that the moms that I talk to, they're saying, well, yeah, it doesn't take very long to do the homeschooling. I agree. That's probably true.
And then they feel guilty.
Yeah. But then they're like, what do I do with them the rest of the day? And they're like, they don't know what to do with their kids.
What?
No, I'm not kidding.
Okay.
They're like,
Kids
I
have
don't
to
think I
play-
could have my kids at home the whole day.
No. Okay. First of all,
I mean, they're saying
this
this, Sam.
argument,
It sounds sad,
right.
but they
No,
are.
this argument that I need me time, that's a specious argument, because kids need me time also. So you just tell the child, I need some me time. Mommy's gonna go take a nap, or mommy's gonna go do this right now. And your job is to go figure out how to have fun with these books, or with these toys, or outside, and don't try to pick up snakes. Do you know what I mean? Like, the children need to be free. They should not be, tied to your hip all day. Absolutely not.
And I
you
think
shouldn't
they
feel
think
like
that
they
that's
need
what they
to.
have to do because that's
They
what
do.
a school does.
Right,
That's
but that's
what they want.
child abuse. Don't do that to your children. No, set your children free. Like my kids used to finish school by 11 o'clock in the morning. They were done. And then the rest of the day, they played outside, or they did some extra reading, or they watched a documentary, or like we had fun. We had a good time together. We spent time together, and when we didn't want to spend time together, we didn't spend time together. And I have two loners and one super extrovert. And so my 7-year-old, who was super extrovert, was making all his own play dates at 7 years old. He would take my phone, he would make the call, he would arrange the play date, and then the people would show up at the house and they'd see me and they'd go, is this okay? Because we were going to drop Billy off, but I just realized I never talked to you. And I'm like, yes, it's fine. Braden is able to make his own play dates, and he reports back to me. We're cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every child is different. Don't make assumptions about your child based on you and your wants and dislikes. When I lost my dog, it was a very, very difficult time for me, and I had 3 young kids, and we went out of town because Kevin was shooting for 2 months, and we lived in a hotel. And for 2 months, basically 2 months, every morning I would get up and go do something with the kids, like the aquarium. And then we would go back to the hotel, have lunch, and then it was downtime. It was nap time. It was quiet time. I called it quiet time. So Braden was old enough, he didn't want to nap. My other 2 pretty much would nap. And I would nap because I was depressed, because I was mourning. It was a really hard time. Yeah. Or I would read. I had a book and I read. And you should read. You should read in front of your children so that they see that reading is good. And you should read to your children. You should be reading to your children every day. And it's fun. Do the voices and then have them read to you. When you're reading to a young child and you come across a word and they're like learning how to read and they've learned their phonics or whatever, you come across a big word, you say, here, you try that word. Yes, it's tedious. It's a little bit boring for adults, but get over it, because the sacrifice that you make there comes back tenfold later.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole different paradigm. And don't be on this treadmill like, oh, my child isn't reading at the age of 7. Who cares? Einstein didn't read till he was 10. He didn't speak till he was 3. He had nothing to say to those people. I'm just saying, your child is unique, and have faith in the Lord. The Lord gave you your child.
You
He's
know
a
that
gift.
let's just go to the elephant in the room that everyone says, well, they're not going to be socialized. Now I know
Oh,
that's
please.
ridiculous, but I would like for you to give your wonderful opinion on this
Well,
quite a
first of all,
topic.
socialization means to make somebody socialist. So I wouldn't want my child to be
Thank
socialized.
you.
But children don't learn social behavior from other children. That's Lord of the Flies. That's survival of the fittest. That's bully or be bullied. Why do you want your child to learn bully or be bullied? Because that's what they mean by socialization. That's what that means.
There's a book. Isn't there a book that's called that, Sam?
There's a book, I have
Bully,
it
don't be
here,
bullied.
Bullies
Oh
to
my gosh, you
Buddy.
got it right there. How to turn your
This
enemies into friends, which
this
sounds
book is
isn't that sweet, but I know it's not.
this book is child abuse.
Yeah,
This book teaches the child if you're being bullied, do not tell an adult.
yeah.
That will go very poorly for you. Just do what the bully says. This book is grooming. That's what this book is.
Yeah.
It's disaster, and it's in all of our schools. Here's the thing. I'm going to make this really simple. Are you convinced that the school has the best interests of your child at heart? No. Don't do it. There's a better solution out there.
And you've got
That
it.
and I
You've
have
got it.
and I offer it. So this is the thing that I talk about. Let me pull that away so it's not shiny.
There it is.
It's the playbook for home learning, and I've got more resources coming out now. I just started on locals.com, so people can go to samsorbo.locals.com, and we're getting everything up. This, you can order this online, or you can download it as a digital download for free. And it comes with, it's a workbook, so it has blank pages for you
But
to
doesn't
fill
it have
in. Because
videos? It has videos too,
and
right?
then there are 15 videos that walk you through the book to get you to think differently about education, to try to set you free, because our education system is really a system of slavery. And the reason that I can say that is you feel like you need it. But you have lots of examples of people that don't need it. So why do you need it? Because they enslaved you. They had 13 years to do that.
But what
Plus,
about
however,
the
people
all
went,
the college? Well, I need to have them be able to get into good college, and then they have a good profession,
yeah.
and then
So Harvard and Princeton and Yale are all recruiting homeschoolers because homeschoolers are capable of thinking outside the box.
yeah.
School children can only answer the questions that they have memorized, that they've been prepared to answer.
And we
What we
all
have
know that.
today, what we have today, so years ago they implemented in the schools whole word reading. They took phonics out, they implemented whole word reading. That's where we got Dr. Seuss from and those ridiculous rhymes. And it decimated the reading potential of that generation of students because when you teach a child the whole word, to read the picture of the word, it's like teaching them hieroglyphics. There's nowhere to go from there. But if you teach them the code, how to decode the words, then you're teaching them how to learn the rest of their lives because they can read anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what they did was they destroyed the reading potential of an entire generation with this whole word reading, which was untested, untried before they implemented it. But boy, did it sell a lot of books. There was a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of money in doing that. Okay. Then they did away with that. But what we have now is whole word learning. So it's the meta version where they teach to the test and then you only know the answers for questions that are on the test. But you're not taught to think. See, this is the beauty of home education is you're going to teach your children to think because you're going to challenge them and you're going to allow them to challenge you and you're going to match wits with them and you're going to go back and forth. And the day that they win the debate is the happiest day of your life. That's the amazing thing because you did that. When they win, you can actually claim the credit. So the day that my son won the debate with me was like, oh my gosh. He outmaneuvered me. He outlogicked me. He brought ammo to a debate. He contended for the truth, and he won. And that was beautiful, right? But your kid's not going to get that in school because the teacher doesn't allow debate
She doesn't have time. No.
or desire
No.
or desire.
No.
And that's not against teachers. Look, teachers are
No.
in a system, but
Yeah.
the system's the perversion, and God bless them. I hope they get out soon, because it's a travesty what's happening in our schools.
Well, like in the
So yeah, so
colleges
if you
too.
go, so you can go and you can get the 15 videos. They walk you through
Mm-hmm.
everything basically that I've talked about and more. And you do the workbook, and you emerge on the other side freer and more capable, with a better understanding, to have, this is what I like to say, happier parents, smarter kids, stronger families.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what I'm about.
Oh my gosh. Sam, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, my
Go,
pleasure.
girls, you've got to go to samsorbos.com. And you can
It's
follow
it's
her on
it's
Instagram and
Sa-
all that stuff. But,
it's just samsorbo.com. It's not plural, but
oh, I'm sorry.
samsorbo.com. And you can email me there with questions too. And I've got lots of resources there. And we're revamping the website right now, so more's coming. So check back in and sign up for the mailing list and stuff like that. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
So
This is a
they can
special
do
project.
this. They can do
Oh,
this.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's better than they ever imagined. It's easier than they ever dreamed. And the reason that they think that it's hard is because they went to school.
Yeah.
And that's job security for the school.
No kidding.
And there's a lot of money in schools.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Sam. I just appreciate you. I always enjoy listening to you talk.
Well,
And
it's fun to chat with you because you get it. And
I totally
that's
get
always.
it. And, you know, I did do for my kids before they got to school. I made sure that they could read and write, and I taught them phonics. And yeah, because I knew
And
that it
it's
was going to
fun.
be good. Yeah, but
And there are lots of books out there to
I
help
wish
you.
that I had had you. Ladies, like, listen to what Sam's saying. And I don't have many regrets for my mothering, but the education that my kids had to endure definitely was. And we eventually did put them in a Christian school that was very worldview, and we were very pleased with it. But still, I love the idea of teaching them in this manner and inputting in them. You literally, by the time they're 18, 90%, 80% of your time with them is gone. And if
Yep.
they're in school all that time, that's even more that is gone.
Right.
And
Right.
home education has everything. They have dances, they have sports. It is just a fluther of wonderful things that can go on.
Well, and the thing is that we overschedule our children anyway.
Oh, totally. And
Because,
everyone agrees on that.
after 7.5 hours a day in school, and then they have homework. Excuse me?
Yeah.
What's that
Why?
about? Like there's a lot that's wrong. But I will say this. The hardest part of my job is the parents who come up to me and say, I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not quite saying, you're saying that a little bit, but
Well, it wasn't
they're
available. But
they're much harder stories of parents who,
mm,
if I'd only known then what I know now,
yeah,
because they lost their kids.
yeah, yeah. I did not lose my kids because I was,
Yeah,
I was on the ball at other places. But
yes.
yeah, so, well, thank you. I know you're going to Israel soon. I was supposed to be
Yeah.
with you. Bummer, but I'll go on the next one.
Okay.
I know that this again was a little bit, it's a little bit new information, and it can go either way with this. We do not want this to be a fight between public school and homeschool and home educating. I want you to wrestle with it. I want you to take the information you have and wrestle it. I want you to go to samsorbo.com and get this information that she has and listen to her speak. And then if you have questions, you can contact me or directly contact Sam. This is a passion of hers, and she loves to help moms. And anyways, so you know what? Moms like us, we got to do things like this. We got to figure out what's best for our kids. And here at Moms Like Us, I want you to be here when we do. See you next time. Bye for now. I sure hope you enjoyed this episode of Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Sweetheart, we have so much more over on the website Moms Like Us, and we also are on Instagram at Moms Like Us __, and you can just join us over there to learn why we should know what we should know,
But I have got a little special thing that we have in the Moms Like Us world. It's called the Moms Like Us Academy, and I hope you'll consider it. You can find out more about it on the momslikeus.org website, but it is full of master classes that teach you how. Because girl, motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. But to learn it, you have to know how. And that's where we do it. That's where moms just like us, moms just like you, we make it happen. So I hope that you will go over and join us in the Moms Like Us Academy. Okay, that's it. Bye for now.